Hi, we're shooting live on location at the base of the Grand Teton Mountains at beautiful Jenny Lake Campground. Denise and I are out here with 5 of our best friends, so there's 7 of us sharing a couple of campsites, and we're going to attempt to make bread today, sourdough bread in a cast iron Dutch oven, just as the early pioneers might have done. And so just get started. I'm actually going to be baking this bread a lot like I would do at home. In fact, almost exactly like I would do it at home, which means fast and easy. So, just going to take about, now this is going to be for 7 people, and we're all going to be hungry and wanting to devour the bread in no time, assuming it turns out. So I'm going to try to make a little bit of a larger than normal loaf of bread, and that would be about, I'm going to start with about 1 3/4 cups of water, which should be about 14 ounces. That's probably even more like 15. So I'm starting with the water in the bowl and then just mixing in some sourdough starter that we took out of our fridge in Iowa a few days ago. So it's kind of flat and dead. It's been in our car for a few days. It's been everywhere, but it was real fresh and lively when I took it out, so it's probably still okay.
Smells good anyway.
It smells strong, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And I'm not the only thing I'm measuring in this whole thing is the water, because if I get the consistency of the dough right, which is just from experience and practice, then I know that having started with so much water, the loaf's going to be, so big. So I'm just going to dissolve the starter in the water. There, that's good. And then I've already got the flour mixture, prepared from before we left. And all I did was take some, I don't even know if this is all-purpose or bread flour, frankly. It's Guisto's Baker's, what's it called?
I don't know.
It's flour, white flour, and then I threw in some whole wheat flour just so it wouldn't be so white. And so I'm just gonna pour some in until the bread dough is about what I think it should be. And this is what I do at home.
Now, are you going for the wet bread dough, like the no-knead dough?
Good question. Denise asks, am I going to be going with the regular kind of wet no-knead dough? And in fact, that was my original intention. But because I forgot the proofing basket and I don't want to have to kind of mess with sticky, wet, shaggy dough tonight when it's ready. Oh, by the way, it's morning, in case you can't tell.
The mosquitoes are swarming.
And, we love the mosquitoes. They're fantastic. But they seem to enjoy bread as well. I didn't want the dough to be real wet, so I'm going to make it stiffer than usual. So it's really not like pure no-knead dough, but it's only going to be a little bit stiffer. So I'm actually probably going to end up kneading it for a couple of minutes anyway. And so it's just easier to handle tonight when it's hopefully done proofing. Because we're going to, we're getting it started here in the morning, and it's, what is it, about 8 o'clock?
9:15.
Okay, bright and early in the morning, crack of noon, started here. And when we get back from our day's activities, some people are fishing, some people are hiking, and other things, then hopefully we'll be done proofing. And we can't leave it out because of all the bear warnings everywhere. They're really strict about making sure that you don't leave food out for good reason. So I'll probably put it in that bear bin over there, Dawn. And it actually, it gets kind of warm in there during the day, so I'm hoping that the dough doesn't overproof between now and when it's ready. What do I do with that spoon? Ah, there it is. So now I'm going to actually mix the salt in. We can't forget the salt. And I don't have a measuring spoon, but this spoon here is probably about 1.5 teaspoons, which is about what I want. A little bit rounded, maybe it might be 1.5 teaspoons. If you put too little salt in, the bread's going to be maybe a little bit flat, not flavorful so much. Put too much in and it retards the yeast somewhat. So, you know, you want to get kind of right, and hopefully that's kind of right. I think there's a pretty wide latitude of what works, you know, in bread baking, so I'm not too worried about it.
And the good thing is that campers are so hungry they'll eat almost anything, right, Don?
True, Denise, true. I'm getting hungry right now, actually, looking at this.
I mix the salt in before I'm done mixing all the flour in, because it's a lot easier to mix the salt in when the dough is still wet than when it's stiff. I don't think, no, see, this is the first time, but I should really make this clear. This is the first time I've ever made bread outside, and what we're going to do is put the Dutch oven in a bed of coals, probably charcoal briquettes, Kingsford briquettes, much like the early pioneers used. And so, you know, I just kind of hope it works. If it's even halfway edible, I'm sure it'll be appreciated. Okay, so it's starting to, actually, you know, it's not far from being ready, but it's still way too wet, so I'm going to put another, like, maybe half a cup of flour or so. And it's going to get to the point where it's too stiff to use the whisk, so I will transition to hand kneading shortly. Oh, and excuse my hair.
or the 3-day growth.
Yeah, well, there's that too.
Serious camping. Yeah.
It's so great that you can make something as good as bread with flour, water, yeast, and salt.
Yep.
This is also the first time I baked bread at any significant altitude. I think we're at something in the low 6,000.
6,000, yeah. Yeah, Jenny Lake is, let's see if I can find it.
It still needs more flour.
And it doesn't say what the elevation Jenny Lake, but I read it.
Where is Jenny Lake on the map?
Right here. This is the Grand Teton Park and the range. And we're right here. The highest Teton is 13,770 feet, the Grand Teton. Jenny Lake's around 6,000. I don't think we came too far up since we've been from Jackson.
I think I'm going to stand it, get a little bit better leverage here. Oh boy, this is going to be good, I think.
Yeah, it'll be really interesting to see what the altitude has, what effect that altitude has on it.
Indeed it will. It's also going to be interesting baking without knowing the temperature.
I was just going to ask you if you brought a thermometer.
I thought about bringing a thermometer, but I didn't.
Oh, you didn't? Okay, so you'll have to go by the thumping sound.
Yeah, I don't think that part will be hard. It's just, I'm just hoping that the inside gets done before the outside turns into charcoal or something. How long, Denise?
About 3 minutes.
3 minutes kneading, and the dough is, you know, it's stiff enough, but it's not too stiff, it's not too wet. I can still work with it without it being a mess. Now it's going to loosen up even more as it proofs through the day. But I think it's, you know, I think it's pretty much done. So I'll just put it back in the bowl. It's nice to be able to work everything just in one bowl. We don't really need anything else. You cover it with plastic. You could use a plastic bag. I happen to have this bowl cover, and it'll just proof till this evening, early this evening, and this is what we're going to bake it in. It's a cast iron Dutch oven by Lodge. I got it through Amazon. You know, I bought it in the same way again that the gold miners might have done.
Yeah.
And this is a really neat one. Now I got to say something about this because this is the Dutch oven that Chad Robertson recommends using for making his tartine bread in his book Tartine. And it's it's a pretty much standard 4-quart Dutch oven, but the lid is actually a skillet, so it's pretty cool. We've used it already extensively on this trip, and we'll set it in the coals and even put some on over the top, and that's it. We'll check back tonight. All right, it's early evening, and we're going to get some charcoal briquettes going. This is another thing I've never used before, so this is all a new and fun experience for me. I think that's all you have to do. Supposedly, in about half an hour, these will be almost ready. So now let's get the dough ready for the second rise. And since we don't have an official proofing basket, I'm just going to fashion one out of a kitchen towel and a bowl that we have here. So, just going to work a lot of flour into the towel. Huh, that's a raindrop, I feel. Alrighty, then, working quickly before it starts raining. Oh, by the way, let's get a close-up of this dough. It's like at least doubled. It seems like it's about tripled in volume since we mixed it up this morning. And I'm afraid it may have overproofed or proofed more than I'd like it to, but it's what we have. And I think it's about 6 o'clock now. So we started at what, 9? 9 to 6, what's that, 9 hours? So it hasn't been that long, but it's been quite warm. Wow. Okie dokie. A little stickier than I might want it, but again, we work with what we have, right? We're camping. It's beautiful. I didn't want to deflate it that much either, but I'm afraid it's too late now. Now I'm going to expertly shape it into a nice boule. Tighten the skin a little bit by tightening the skin a little bit. Now by folding it in on itself and just sort of trying to make a... Yeah, forget it. I'm just going to try to get into the proofing basket. Why don't you come on in and see what this looks like up close. Not that it's anything I want anybody to see, but that's what it looks like. Alright, this will be interesting. Now I'm going to probably give it about an hour to rise before we flop it in the Dutch oven.